the last 6 to 9 months that there's been a huge maturity of clients, brand managers and others in terms of fundamental understanding. So I think that's not what we're going to talk today for sure, that the basics of social media. But I'm going to try and jump in to a level a little beyond in terms of what are the challenges today in this space. How do you get to even plan a social media strategy for your business? So as I say, it's like virtually the challenge is this way, that things are changing so rapidly. Can you actually, in the middle of all that change, try and create a social media plan for your company? So why do I say that there are challenges in the social media space? What is happening? Why is there a challenge? On the first hand, there is the entire fundamental marketing model is changing. It's virtually turning up on its head, and I'll share with you why. Simultaneously, budgets have been allocated through a whole legacy methodology into a certain structure, and they need to change. If you don't allot budgets, there is no plan. You can't plan with zero budget. It doesn't happen. Social media may be cheap, but social media management is not free. Okay. And the third thing is it's not marketing alone. So a lot of times it is thought of as social media marketing, but social media is a lot more than marketing. So again, where do you begin within an organization? And once you get there, what sort of internal workflow in the organization, what kind of a workflow could you possibly design where, things which were happening in their own little silos in the company, now suddenly they have to start talking to each other and making things happen in unison for the outside visitor in social space. So what's this talk about the changing marketing model? I think we all know about this funnel of the marketing funnel. I mean, it's been there for ages, right? Except that it's changing shape. The funnel is now actually becoming virtually like an ellipse. What's happening is that when you want to buy something, okay, you don't necessarily now go and look up the entire space at, okay, which are the 50 brands of smartphone that I need to consider. You start with a few which come top of the mind recall. That's your consideration space. After that, you start looking around, maybe ask a few friends, okay, maybe post on Facebook asking for opinions that, listen, these are the 3 I'm looking at, and what do you guys think? That's when you start getting all kinds of feedback, all kinds of opinion. And some of them will actually tell you that, drop this and consider this. And suddenly, instead of the funnel narrowing, it may expand. You may start looking at more choices. At the point of sale, you're still going to the store with a little open mind, and it's a bit of ina, mina, mo, and pick the final one. That's your buying process. Traditional marketing stopped here. However, today, the consumer continues to be in that marketing loop where he gets into the next cycle, which is the loyalty loop. After he purchases, he starts talking about it. He tweets about it. He maybe blogs about it. He says whether he's enjoying the experience, not enjoying, is he thrilled about it. So that's that entire loyalty loop which he enters. So this is the consumer buying decision journey which has changed. Traditional marketing budgets are at creating, getting the brand into that awareness cycle. The customer should include my brand when he's thinking about a purchase. And then the maximum last part of the big budgets go into the buying point in terms of discounts and promotions and stuff like that, which leaves very little for the 2 critical stages, which is where the customer is most likely to be influenced, which is the evaluate stage and then the advocacy of the loyalty loop. Traditionally, marketing has been allocating budgets for one side, the creative part, the one-time creation of that TVC, and then the media buy. And these are all, again, well understood legacy understanding in marketers. But there will be need to provide for budgets for so-called non-work budgets like creating, monitoring the owned as well as the earned media space, because those are the spaces which are finally influencing the buying decision of the customer. The marketer has to play more than one role now. Okay, you suddenly, there was the good old days when a company would have like a 4-page website and a 2-page brochure, And that was all the publishing that happened. And suddenly we are at a point where there's just tons of all kinds of material. You have your website, you have a Facebook page, you have a blog, owned media, things which you own beyond your website. Now, who's putting content out there? Who's writing the customer service scripts? Who's doing product literature design? Who's doing even simple things like registration forms and warranty programs? Who's doing that? Now, in most of the companies, it will be done by the respective teams, respective departments, and that's where mistakes happen. I mean, a person calls and somebody says, "Hello, G," or something like that, and all that fancy ads and fancy marketing is certainly lost because, the impression creates the wrong impression. So, marketer has to also be there looking at those. How about a marketer taking a role as a publisher or virtually like a content supply chain manager? Ever think of content as a supply chain? But it is. I mean, today a lot of companies could be generating, either owned and earned close to 50,000, 100,000 pages of content in a year, or sometimes more. The point is that the marketer needs to take charge as the so-called publisher in that space. And then marketplace intelligence leader. Certainly all kinds of analytics are coming back. So from digital space, there was, the Google Analytics and how many people came to my website and whatnot. But now there is information. There are people talking about you. Some of them are talking good, some of them are talking bad, some of them have these kinds of experiences. How do you make sense of all that? One thing is to monitor and get that information, and the next thing is to kind of interpret that into a next level of understanding about your brand. Think of the larger challenge in marketing. It's not just about creating that Facebook page and a Twitter account and all. It's less like the 101 trivial things. And that's what a lot of people are still playing in social media, whereas the challenges are of this kind. So really, whatever is the social media team, either in-house team or outsourced team, has to play a role something like this, what you see on your screen, where sitting in the middle, it is on the one side talking to the PR people, talking to branding team, talking to customer service, probably to investor relations and any other internal division which has a consumer touch point. And whatever, either the inbound commands or anything outbound, the social media team has to interface with all of them and manage. These are the kind of things which the social media planning needs to take into account. That's your social media team doing all of that. So basically, I just wanted to throw some of these thoughts right now and probably take the answers in the Q&A. Thank you.
Using words like augmented reality in social media, how do you use that? If you can tell us of one social media engagement which you've done with any client.
So let's say there's a hotel and you would want to know, so I mean we talk about a lot of social media, and at the end of the day the delivery is very, very important. Unless you really believe in what you do, from the client's perspective or the organization's perspective, it's very difficult for the organization to pull off a strategy in social media. So augmented reality could be used in organizations which are very, very progressive. So let's say there's a hotel which has an excellent facility, like let's say a Taj group of hotels. They have much to showcase, on the real world. So if you want to kind of create that experience online before you actually go to the hotel, you can actually do that with augmented reality. You can go inside the hotel, look at it, experience it before actually buying.
I could add to that, how this can become social is that, say you're in a fashion store, it's a fashion brand, and the augmented reality allows you to virtually try out clothes. And when you try them out, so it's on you, it's not just something which is on the page. And then you can you share that image with your friends and ask them for their opinion, and how does this look? So you're getting your friends to comment on your look on a certain dress before you bought it, without having gone into the store, just sitting on a machine. So that's how augmented reality can be actually combined into social media space.
That's one. The other thing which you could do is very, very interesting. Suppose there is a business and you wouldn't exactly know what a customer's demand is. Suppose you can actually design an experience based on the client's feedback, based on the group's feedback, based on our community's feedback. You will know from this particular age group to this particular age group, they like a particular color, they like a particular object in a particular place, they like tea or coffee served in a particular time. There's a number of things which you could actually pull off, where otherwise you wouldn't have been operationally thought of doing such things.
We are talking about social media planning in this session. So this, what I gather and what little experience I have, I feel that it can't really be planned in the traditional sense, because you plan something and then something else comes up altogether. Also, another thing that I would like to ask you and get your views on is, with more and more employees of a marketeer also being online, what would be the role of a social media agency or any agency which is trying to get into this space? It would be restricted necessarily to the planning or the guidance and the initial seeding kind of thing, because thereafter a lot of things would also happen is that consumers or customers of company would want to talk to the employees to get the inside view of what's really happening. There are various successful stories of health blogs and things like that, technology companies, where employees across the board, say a Microsoft or a Dell, their employees, they actually respond to customer queries. Does that hold true? Will that hold true for other industries as well?
To answer that, I mean, today it's a dynamic world, so what part of your marketing can really be planned to the last drop? I mean, everything is changing. It's a world of change. So social media is about that, and what you do is to think of contingencies, that if there is a PR crisis which starts on social media and suddenly it takes a huge this role, what would you do? I mean, are you prepared for it? When two employees of Domino's spoilt an order, they purposely spread into the order and on a pizza, and took a video of it and posted it on YouTube, and in 8 hours when that video got 80,000 views, there was no planning that you could have planned for a situation of this kind. However, what Domino's had done was have invested in the medium. They had an active Facebook page, they had an active Twitter account, they were having listening posts set up, the so-called social media monitoring. So they discovered this problem very soon, and then they had a process to say, okay, this is not your typical small comment, it's going to be a big one. So they went back to corporate, they figured out that, okay, we need to make our video in response to this. The communication director sat in front of a camera and gave out his thoughts, and it was posted on YouTube. Mind you, they didn't go and post it on the website, because the original video was on YouTube. They posted this video also on YouTube in response, and they managed to recover the situation. So you could plan for a process. You can't plan for every exact contingency in that sense. The other thing, yes, I think right now, why is there a role? I mean, I am completely in agreement that if a company can do its social media on its own, they will always be able to do it better. Right now, most of the time, things happen like it's given to somebody who has another day job, and he's been told that you will also manage Facebook or something like that. Now, it cannot be done that way. Okay, so until companies start figuring out this and figuring out actual resources, when we talk of companies like Dell and Cisco and others, they have large teams who are dedicated to some of these. I mean, and once you are there with that kind of a force, then yes, you can handle it. But until that time, a lot of companies might need external help.